after the 1, 2, 3, and it seems like Ivy is destined to go 4. Is there a favorite home run swing? Is there, think about years past, like Giannis, what pick was he, 15? Donovan Mitchell, very tail end of the lottery. Could there be a home run swing in here? Could there be a guy who ends up being the best player in this draft who doesn't go in the top 4? And if so, who is it?
Can I give you 3 at different ranges in the first round? Okay.
Give us 3. Give us a gold medalist, a silver medalist, and a bronze medalist for this question.
All right. 1, Shaedon Sharpe, kind of the mystery player, goes to Kentucky, doesn't play, 6'5". You watch his high school video, this dude's a bucket getter. Ryan Russillo and I have talked about him a little bit. I think he's a bit of a better playmaker than he gets credit for. He's asked to score, but he does show the will to at least pass. And if, Jay Kyle Mann did a great video of him as well, breaking down some of his footage defensively at lower levels. When he's playing in a team context, where the goal is to win games, not EYBL, the defensive ability is there. So Shaedon Sharpe, number 1 that comes to mind as a go-to scoring wing. And then Ousmane Dieng.
Wait, hold on. Can you stay with Sharpe for a second? What's the draft pick range for him in your opinion? Like, could he go as high as 4 and could he drop out of the top 9?
I'd be surprised if he goes 4 because it sounds like Ivy will go there, whether it's to Sacramento or for a trade, with Sacramento. I'd say for Sharpe, it's probably more like 6 to 12. That's probably the range for him. Something
so
like
he could fall out of top 10.
Yeah, it could happen. There's been so many different guys, including, like a Dieng that could move up. There's, a number of different guys that could slide into the top 10. And others have already. Mathurin has solidified himself as a top 10 guy. Dyson Daniels has solidified himself as a top 10 as well.
What is the perfect type of team for Sharpe? Is it a bad team where he can get minutes like Jalen Green last year, where you're just getting thrown out there, you're getting your reps, you're making your mistakes, and then February, March, beginning of April, all of a sudden it starts to come together? Or would you rather see him in like a Golden State situation? Not that it would be Golden State, but a good team that he could be worked in and learn like the right lessons.
I think it's exactly that. It's more of the good situation where it's a low pressure, there's no expectations. Like New Orleans, for example, they already have so many young players where this is an upside player you can slowly develop and bring him in, or San Antonio, somewhere like that, where they already have Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell and a bunch of guards where for him, he can come off the bench and get some easy minutes rather than, like a team that needs scoring right now. So I think for him, that's the best fit.
Okay. Who's your silver medalist?
Ousmane Dieng, French prospect, 6'10" forward, spent this last year playing in New Zealand. He played last year, but he's unproven just like Sharpe has. He struggled really until the last, 2-3 weeks of the year. It was a tough year with him with like the COVID situation since arriving in Australia there. So I think with him, 6'10", his best skill right now is his ball handling ability, his playmaking. And anytime you're talking about somebody with that type of size that can handle and create shots for themselves or for others, there's a baseline for success. And you factor in the fact that he did look better shooting those pull-up jumpers, hitting spot-up threes to close the year. As he continues to develop, there's a package for like a well-rounded, versatile offensive player that can be used in so many different roles. And naturally with that size, hard worker, puts in effort on defense. It's just a matter of developing fundamentals and developing his awareness on that end. So he could end up one of like the better two-way guys in the NBA draft if all things work out.
I have a bias against tall, super skinny guys.
Yeah.
6'10", 200.
He's not super. Yeah, I think he has a frame, though. He should get stronger. He has the wider frame to put on some weight.
Because I'm trying to think best case scenarios, like Giannis, he grew 3 inches too. That was always helping. But we were thinking he was like a Paul George type coming out of that draft. And all of a sudden he was 7 feet. But you have in the draft guide, you have as shades of Brandon Ingram, Chandler Parsons, and Evan Turner. Those are 3 guys that I would not have grouped together. So Brandon Ingram, I'm guessing the body. Chandler Parsons, what is it about the Chandler Parsons piece?
Chandler Parsons, I'd say more like overall ability, that type of thing, where he's not your star player, but he could be a good, scoring presence with size. And I think if you insert, healthy prime Chandler Parsons into today's NBA, he'd be a pretty good player. Yeah, he was a good player, right?
And
I think
Evan
with
Turner is like no shot, but can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, if the shot never develops, like you still have a player with size who can play make for you.
Man, I mean, my favorite part of this draft is the 8 to like 15 section. Like, especially if Mathurin ends up in that range. But then I think AJ Griffin's really interesting. You know, like that Duke team was so loaded, it almost becomes hard to figure out who was who, but he has all the basic skills you would want. We talked about wings on Sunday in this pod. Like, I just want wings. And that guy checks all the boxes. The Johnny Davis thing, it just seems like he's going to score.
Yeah, he's a bucket.
It just seems like he's going to get baskets. And, you know, versus like somebody like the Celtics took Neesmith. It's like Neesmith, he might be able to score. Like some people just have it where it's like, I can score. I'm putting in points. Sohan, you know, I love him. And I love Mark Williams. I think if you have him in that 13 to 15 range as a big who can play 20, 25 minutes a game, that's really valuable because at that point, you're only paying what, $4 million a year?
Yeah,
easy
I love
contract.
Mark Williams. I got a little like mini article coming out about him on the Ringer. I think either late Tuesday or early Wednesday, just about Mark Williams. Because you're right, Bill. I mean, what did we see this year in the NBA? Bigs, they're competing for MVP. Robert Williams and Al Horford starting for the Celtics. Kevon Looney having huge minutes throughout the postseason for the Warriors. Having quality bigs, even if they're non-superstars, it matters a lot to get through those matchups. Like Looney, he defends Jokic in round 1. Interior player, and round 3 against Luka, he's switching onto the perimeter against him. Like you gotta have bigs that you can trust. And I love Mark Williams. That dude's so big. Like what did he have? The second longest standing reach in recorded history behind Taco Fall.
Right.
It's nuts how big he is, and he's got some skill too. I like him a lot. I think Mark Williams is going to be shooting threes someday because when I talked to him, I asked him about he shot like 5 for 9 in 2 years at Duke on jumpers and looked pretty good shooting them. And he told me that that's something he's been working on a lot because he knows like that's a necessity to maximize his value in the NBA. I'm a buyer in Mark Williams stock.
He's definitely a playoff series guy.
Yeah.
I could have seen him in the finals playing, 6-minute stretches in each half for either of the teams. Like the Celtics became afraid to play Tice as the playoffs went along. And it's like, I don't know, he's a little closer to the Robert Williams. At least he can rim protect and be physical. I'm sure a smart team will be able to pull him out into space and try to beat him off the dribble, stuff like that.
I talked to him during the conference finals and I asked him, is there a big that you've watched in the postseason that you feel like that you could fit into that role someday? And he mentioned Robert Williams.
Of course.
That exact role.
Yeah. All right. So who's your bronze medalist?
Let's go with Peyton Watson out of UCLA.
Okay.
He had a really bad year, really bad freshman season, playing behind a lot of veterans, upperclassmen on that UCLA roster, came off the bench, did not do well, shot, he averaged 3 points per game. He wasn't playing much. He was not producing in those minutes. But the fact is you're talking about someone who's 6'7" with super long arms, who busts his ass on defense. He crashes the boards, can switch onto the perimeter, can defend some bigger guys as well. And then it's like we talked about with Dieng. He has the ball handling ability. He creates space and he can pass the ball. It's just a matter of, can he get stronger to the point that he's finishing well around the rim? Can he become efficient enough as an outside shooter that ball handling is activated and becomes meaningful in the half court? But I think with somebody like him, we're seeing so many players with funky style games that are managing to find a role, whether it's a Gary Payton, or whether it's like a Grant Williams, like Sirus Sohi's written about before, these kind of, weird bodied players that have skill. Peyton Watson kind of fits into that category, I think, as someone that's worth a gamble in the late first.